Another edition of the PML League Report. This is your boy Is Nefarious, and once again I am here with a special guest. I usually keep it hush, and I've been doing well so far with that. Go ahead and introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit of what you contribute to the Premier Madden League.
What's up, guys? It's Mally Rojo. I'm the Falcons user, and you guys might see me in content in the rookie reports. I try to do those every week. Lately, I've been playing catch up, but you might see me in those. You might see me in chat a little bit. I stay active in there.
Yeah, and you're also part of our league content team that we put together. You're actually one of my favorite content guys as far as the blogs that you put out, the rookie reports. You do a very, very good job of all that, going into detail, really deep diving. I appreciate the work that you put out there, and I appreciate you being a part of the league content team. And for anybody listening, we actually have a little cool content idea that we're doing in the league content team that's not really known, and we'll actually dive into that after we dive into the league report a little bit. So basically, you're a big rookie guy because you do the rookie reports. The first thing I want to ask you is what are your top three teams as far as the this past draft, based on the rookie stats that you look up and all that good stuff?
Uh, I want to say lately Tony Jones Jr., the running back from Detroit, he's been showing up, especially the past few weeks. He kind of started off slow, but lately he's been blowing up, and he's stepped up and been the guy for Detroit. I think he traded Love to you, so he needed a guy, and Tony Jones Jr., he's been involved in the rushing game and the receiving game, and he's helped him win games. So I like that pick from Detroit. Um, Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, he traded Love to me. Um, he was on my draft board. Um, I guess he was eager to pick him. I don't know where he picked him. I believe it was like pretty early in the draft. Good speed, good power, very good trucking. Um, so, is there anybody else that comes to mind besides that running back over in Detroit?
He's had a safety over there. I'm struggling to remember his name. Let me see it. LeConte. It's LeConte the third, and he's popped up a couple times on my list there. I know he's been making some tackles and picks for him over there, so he picked him up a nice safety in the draft as well.
So the Lions had a pretty good draft, is basically what you're telling me here. Um, Let me take a look at LeConte. Yeah, the third. Good speed, very athletic, good zone coverage for a rookie, and it seems he's got good pursuit. So he seems like he's somebody that could help out against the run. Is there any other teams that come to mind that have a few guys that end up on the rookie report um, that they had a pretty good draft?
Yeah. It's hard for me to say kind of the overalls because I actually my chat was messing up when we were doing the draft, so I didn't get to be real active in the chat when we were actually drafting. So I
Hmm.
didn't see a lot of the guys that people were picking going out. So basically, when I've been doing these weekly rookie reports, I'm basically just seeing the stats and what guys are being used. So I don't even really know. I haven't been looking too much into their stats and their overall. But
Yeah.
as far as stat wise, like game production, Minnesota, he has a few guys. Dorian Etheridge is in there like every week. That's the middle linebacker he picked. I've seen a couple as well. And he also has another middle linebacker. I forget the guy's name, but he's been using him as well, and he seems to do well with both of those guys.
Is it
Um,
Leonard Warner?
yeah, that's the other one. Um, I don't know what his overall is, but I know that he likes to use that guy as well. He actually, in our game, that guy had two interceptions against me, and Dorian Etheridge kind of took the back seat. But usually it's Dorian Etheridge stepping up for him over there?
Yeah, I'm looking at Warner right now. He's a uber athletic 6'4", 250 pound linebacker. He's 1 pound lighter and 1 inch shorter than the glitch called Tremaine Edmonds over in Buffalo. Definitely a solid pick there. And Dorian Etheridge, I've seen his name plenty, especially in the rookie report, and he keeps reminding us that Dorian is playing well. So
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
have to fear with that. And when I was talking about the top three uh, rookie drafts, I wasn't talking about overall. You look at all the stats. Overalls don't matter. Stats matter in this league. So that's basically, so you're right on the right track. I'm talking about stats. I don't care what the overalls are. As long as they're performing well, then you won in the draft, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah. I hear you.
All right. So
And
besides the Lions and the Vikings, is there a third team that you could think of that had a pretty good draft based on names that have come across your rookie report?
yeah, I think so. And I just wanted to mention one more from over there. You'll hear him say over in Minnesota, Josh Jackson for MVP. I don't think he's there yet, but yeah, he is one of the. I was looking at the QBs, and he's like in the top three of rookie QBs. But he has more interceptions than touchdowns. He's not quite there yet. You also have guys like Davis Mills from Washington doing a bit better. Um, you have Green Bay with his quarterback Jarrett Guarantano, however you say his last name, doing a little bit better. But he has been playing with them better the last couple games. Josh Jackson, he got into our honorable mentions this last week.
Yeah, he definitely mentions that Josh Jackson for MVP, but there's a ton of quarterbacks with way better stats so far, based on the interceptions he's thrown. Um,
Yeah,
so I don't think that's gonna come to fruition,
that's not gonna
especially
help his case, right?
yeah. I don't think that's gonna happen this season. He could scream it until he's blue in the face, but it's not happening. Um, Somebody like Etheridge would have a better chance with his production so far. Is there another team that comes to mind for rookies that stand out?
Yeah, I'd say Miami did pretty good. They kind of dropped the ball in the off season. They traded. I actually made a trade with him for Devontae Parker, and I sent Julio Jones over to him, but he did not secure Julio Jones in his contract year, and he lost that wide receiver. So he basically gave me Devontae Parker and and a pick for a 1 year rental.
Hmm.
But he kind of made up for it in the rookie draft. He picked up Jerry Judy, and he's been doing really well for him. I was watching one of his last games, and he had a game-winning touchdown grab that he got over the top of I think it was the Jets defense,
Yep.
and caught a pass with like under 10 seconds left, won him the game. I think he's got close to 500 receiving yards on the season and a few touchdowns. So he's been a big name that's been popping up on my rookie watch as well. He's got a couple defenders. Trying to remember the name. Let me see if I can find him here. Oh
Is
yeah,
it?
he's got a right end to Quan Graham. He's been pretty
Mhm.
active for the defense. He's got 3.5 sacks for him, 18 tackles. Nothing crazy, but he picked up some decent guys over there. He's got Quentin Bohannon. I thought he was actually going to be. He hasn't done a whole lot. He's only got 8 tackles and a sack, but he's got the stats to do good things for him. I think, if I remember correctly from the draft.
Yeah, he's a 78 overall. Big boy, strong. 96 strength. You look at his defensive tackles. I mean, they're a big guy heaven, if you want to say it that way. 99 strength for two of his defensive tackles, 96 for the other. It's definitely a strong defensive line over there. And you mentioned Jerry Judy. I had a first impression that's gonna last. Um, I was up in a game, I believe by 3 or by 4, and he had less than a minute and a half to score, and Jerry Jeudy blew right past AJ Boye for a touchdown in the back of the end zone. And you would have thought that would have been the game winner. It could have been the game winner, but then I ended up going down, and Felton Davis actually made a jump ball catch in the end zone to win it for me. So he was close to having a game winner earlier in the year. Jerry Jeudy is going to be a problem. I forgot where he selected him, but it's definitely a great draft pick. Good speed, good catching ability, good route running. Jerry Jeudy is definitely somebody that could take the place of Julio Jones, which he pretty much sold off Devontae Parker and his draft pick for nothing because he didn't even make the playoffs with Julio Jones as a rental. So he kind of gave stuff away for nothing. But that does it for the the rookie situation. I got a few questions for you. Is there who's your favorite who's your favorite user to watch in the Premier Madden League? When there's a game on, is it basically the matchup is something you're drawn to? Is there a user that you like to watch his game and really study his game a little bit?
Yeah, it's fun to watch. I mean, there's always matchups that are fun to watch every week. Usually, I always consistently like to watch the Bucks. He's just fun to watch. He's a great coach. He like to just watch the way that he reads defenses and plays defense. And then plus he's in my division, so I got to be looking out for him anyways. So I'm always doing that. But yeah, he's just fun to watch in general. He's a smart guy. He makes smart decisions and a lot to learn from him if you watch.
Yeah, I've dealt with him firsthand, and he makes great checkdowns. He reads the defense perfectly. He's tough to deal with. Um, I couldn't. I really didn't have an answer for him. It was pretty bad, as you can tell by the score. Uh, let's see here. I want to go through a couple of the games that went off last week in week 7. Let's see here. Trying to pick a good one. I kind of should have did a little bit of homework. One good one is Minnesota Vikings versus Lions. A lot of bad blood between these two, and Minnesota was actually able to come out on top, and he's been on a little winning streak. So, anything you want to say, like regarding Minnesota and his current groove that he's in, and were you able to watch that game at all?
You know what? I missed that game, but that's a big win for him because that division's wide open and they're always competing there. And so for him to get a win like that, and I know Detroit and him are kind of going back and forth. I know Detroit's going to be hurting after losing that one, so that was a big win for him. I had a matchup against Minnesota earlier where I completely lost my whole game plan. Like he blew me up. I was making stupid decisions, and I had a really bad game against him. So um, that's still kind of fresh wound right there that you're opening up for me.
Yeah, uh, believe me, even talking to you, I kind of got a little PTSD from the ass whooping you gave me week 1. Just nothing went right for me in that game. Um, let's talk about the game that you were a part of. The New York Giants, who came off a huge win against the Eagles, I believe, the previous week. He went into, well, you went into New York with him having a lot of confidence after that big win. What do you got to say about his gameplay and playing against him? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, he's a good player, man. He had a good user on defense. I had to be really careful picking my selections, and really, to be honest, I thought I was going to lose that game early on. He was up on me pretty heavy through 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, I just kind of had an explosion. I scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, and I won 28-24. So that 21 points in the fourth quarter, without that, I wouldn't have been anywhere close. And he took me down to the wire. It was an ending drive. And usually, lately I've been losing my cool on those end drives. I had a chance to beat the Bills like more than once in our last game the week before. I only lost by 5 points there, and instead of running the ball, he was passing it at the end of the game, and he gave me the ball back a few times with time to win, and I just couldn't do it. I kept throwing interceptions. I was trying to go deep every time,
Hmm.
but because of that, in this last Giants game, I had the ball with a minute and something left, and I took my time. I ran the ball. I switched it up, check down instead of trying to go deep every time, and I was finally able to get it done with the drive, and I scored with just 7 seconds left. And he had to try to throw a bomb to catch back up, and he just couldn't bring it down. I was running deep coverage. There was really nothing he had available.
Yeah, he, he hopefully he continues to come on strong. It'll be nice to have another good user in the league. Maybe he was just trying to get used to things, how the PML works, because it does take a little bit of getting used to with the good users in this league, and trying to deal with controlling the ball with and not giving it up. And that was kind of the key to your victory against me, and it's pretty much the key to every victory. Just make sure you're able to control the ball and not force yourself into mistakes in bad situations. I mean, there's some users that are good enough to come back from that, but most of us, if we do that, we end up in a big hole where we can't come back from. And I don't know if you could attest to that yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just played the Cowboys today, and it was close through 2 quarters, and then I just completely lost it, and I dug myself into a hole. And once I was in that hole, I was just trying to dig myself out, and the hole just kept getting deeper and deeper. So
Hmm.
I definitely know the feeling.
Yeah, that, and I just went through it with the Bucks, so we're in the same boat there. Talking about opening up fresh wounds there. Is there any game that you caught week seven that you might want to talk about? If not, that's fine. I didn't really catch many of the games week 7. I was a little behind on the league reports and stuff like that, and we had Mother's Day, so I really didn't catch any games. Is there anything you caught over the weekend?
I did catch some of the Dallas and Tampa Bay game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you'll catch me watching Tampa Bay pretty often, and that was a good game. Tampa Bay, he started off strong, and it looked like he was going to blow out there. And then I missed a lot of it and came back, and it looked like Dallas was on a comeback. It was 17-17, but Tampa Bay got it together, and he was able to get an interception and run the time down. Dallas kind of he made a bad decision there at the end, so he kind of lost it there, and there was no chance to get it back after that. But that was a good game there.
Yeah,
I
and
wish I
that.
would have saw. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, go ahead. Go ahead, finish your thought.
I was gonna say I wish I would have saw the Tennessee San Francisco game because it looks like that was a close one. And
Hmm.
San Francisco, I haven't been able to catch any of the games, but I'd like to because man, he's came over here as a new user and shook up the league.
Yeah, especially with a huge win against somebody like this Seahawks, who is a top tier kind of player in this league. So he definitely made a statement there. As far as the Bucks and the Cowboys, that could possibly be a preview of the NFC Championship game. I believe that was the previous NFC Championship game that actually just went down. Um, and then the Cowboys ended up winning and going into the Super Bowl and taking the Super Bowl there. Um, Now let's go ahead and deep dive into your team. Um, I just want to get some ideas based on like how you build your team. Is any sleepers that you're looking at building through content, since you're a big content guy, um, and kind of maybe some of your focuses now, where your team's at now. Some of your focuses on who you're going to build to really complement everything that you already have, because I'm taking a look at your roster now and you got a lot of good players here. Blake Martinez, which I traded to you, is a good player. You got Calvin Ridley, Takaris McKinley. I don't believe I pronounced that right. Desmond Trufant, you got Deion Jones still, Keanu Neal. So you got a pretty good team, definitely a playoff team. So basically, just give us an idea of how you build your team and all that. You could start with the offense.
Yeah, man. Over on offense in the drafts, I've been focusing a lot on the line. I don't know if you see my line, but it's a lot of young guys. Almost all my guys are young. The only one that's really an older guy is Jake Matthews over on the left side.
Hmm.
He's 29 years old. Everyone else is young, and I've been building those guys through content. Excuse me. And then I already have a pretty decent wide receiver core with Ridley, and then I picked up Parker from the Dolphins. Parker might start to regress soon, but I also got a couple speedy guys. And Raming, I think is how you would say his last name. He's a 96 speed guy. Got a lot of usage out of him last year. Got him suspended. Um, so I picked up another rookie, Velius Jones Jr. in this last draft, another speedy guy. That did really well for me while he was in, but once Ramy came back, he kind of took a back seat. But I did like him. His route running is not that great, but he's got speed um, and some decent catching. But his route running needs some work, so that's one I might try to build through content. Baltimore's been hitting me up trying to get him in a trade, so watch out. You don't want to let him get that.
Yeah, he's looking for that speed demon on the opposite side of Robbie Anderson. Maybe somebody he could have get suspended by accident and have a fallback option pretty much. Um, yeah, you said you were building the offensive line, a lot of young guys. Even behind Jake Matthews, who you said is 29, you got Trey Smith, who's a 77 overall 21-year-old. So you're even all set behind him. If Jake Matthews, you want to either let him walk or trade him away. I think you'd be fine with Trey Smith behind him.
Yeah, yeah. With him being 21, that's one I've really been working on. I think when I drafted him, he started off as a 73, so I've built him up all the way to 77. And he's really only seen playing time because of injuries. He's filled in some other positions for me, so I'm basically just building him purely through content on that one.
Yeah, and I do the content, the tribute requests, so I see his name come up a lot. I see with a lot of your offensive linemen, you like to build up the awareness, and I actually wanted to ask about that. What's the whole awareness thing? Because I'm late to the party.
You know what? I don't even know how much of a factor it is. I've been trying, but it seems like when I'm looking at the stats, and a lot of my guys, they like if you'll go to my right tackle, Bobby Evans. I'm looking at him, and he's got 92 strength. He's got 84 run block. He's got 87 pass block. He's got 79 run block power, 85 run block finesse, 83 run block power. So he's pretty well rounded all around. He's got 85 impact blocking. So I'm wondering like what's bringing him down. And the only stat that I can see that's really bringing him down is awareness. So I figure, and a lot of the veterans that you see that have higher overalls, that's like the main difference is the awareness. So I don't know how much of a factor that is. Maybe that's something I need to look into and make sure I'm even really doing much besides just kicking up the overall.
Hmm.
But I've just noticed that with like the veterans, they all seem to have high awareness, and the rookies, a lot of them start out with the lower, and it really brings down their overall.
Yeah, and with the awareness, I mean, I think I've heard something about awareness helps offensive linemen specifically, from somebody like Natural. Maybe that's something I might want to ask him. But I just wanted to ask you because I wasn't sure if that's 100% a thing, and I didn't know if you knew. But I see you're just building it to see if it makes a difference for somebody like your right tackle, Evans. Uh, let's
Yeah,
talk a little
I
bit.
hope it is. It's definitely been making a difference in Smith's overall as
Yeah.
I've been building him. But hopefully it's actually helping his gameplay, because otherwise I just wasted a bunch of points on him.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Let's talk about your quarterback situation. It seems to be a little interesting situation you got there. You got Matt Ryan, who is signed. How long is he signed exactly?
I believe he has, after this year, I think he has 2 more years left on his contract.
Okay, he has 2 more seasons left on his contract. A strong penalty, and behind him you got KJ Costello, who's got a star development trait, and good throw power, good short accuracy, good medium accuracy, and I believe I've seen you actually use some of your content to build him. So what's kind of your idea there for quarterback? Maybe not right now, but in the future.
Yeah, I've been kind of building KJ. At first, I was reluctant. I didn't really want to because I don't know if you've seen his speed, but his speed is 66. So he's like older than, I mean, he's slower than like old ass Peyton Manning when he was in the game. So for some reason, they just gave him a really bad roll on that, and he's like super slow. I can't really move around with him a lot, but as long as I stay in the pocket, he's pretty good. His throw under pressure was pretty bad starting out, so I've been basically just building that. His throw under pressure, I think, was like mid 60s when I started. So I've got him up to 70 now, and he stepped in and he's played pretty decent for Matt Ryan. I don't scramble a lot anyways. Um, that's really not my game plan. I usually try to stay in the pocket and building up that O line to protect him. So hopefully now that I'm building the O line, hopefully to give him more time, I don't have to scramble very much, and that speed won't be an issue. But I am keeping my options open there just in case, because I'm not quite sure how that'll work out with 66 speed. I mean, I really can't move at all with him.
Yeah, and I kind of have the same situation with Kyle Shermer. I have a couple guys that could still throw and have decent speed. I actually lean more towards the pocket passer without the speed. Just basically because I'm a New England fan watching Tom Brady. It's kind of what I lean on. I don't know how to use a mobile quarterback correctly. I find it fine as long as you can make a good read quickly and get the ball out of his hands. You'll be okay. Costello is a big boy, 66 speed. Like I said, horrible throw under pressure, like you were talking about. That reminds me 100% of Kyle Shermer. And he's right now he's my starting quarterback, and I enjoy using him. And like you said, you're a pocket presence kind of guy, and you like to stay in the pocket and be a pocket passer. So maybe the more you use him, the more you'll fall in love. Um, we'll see what happens with Matt Ryan and his log jam right now. I don't know how much you're using Matt Ryan, or if you're using more of KJ now, or you're just waiting for Matt Ryan to underperform before you start putting KJ in.
Yeah, right now at this point, I'm still rolling Matt Ryan. He's still doing okay. Most of his woes are bad decisions by me, so I can't really fault him too much.
Hmm.
I just don't really like the contract there, so that's why I've been saying that. Man,
Yeah.
I hope he retires. I can't really trade him, and but yeah, I think Costello will be a good option once he's gone. I mean, he's got great throw power, the accuracy's there. It's just got to work on that throw under pressure. So I'm gonna keep building him and keep him under Matt Ryan for as long as I can, and keep building Costello through the content as well. And then when time comes, when Matt Ryan does retire, he'll be locked and loaded, ready to go.
Yeah, and yeah, you're kind of screwed with Matt Ryan's contract, especially with that penalty. You can't even move him if you wanted to. I believe we were talking about it a while ago, but then you looked at that penalty and you were like, "There's no way possible that you could do it." Um, d-
Yeah.
let's. I want to talk about a little bit about your running game. A guy I really liked and I actually talked to you about was Tevin Coleman. Um, you were interested in moving him, but situations with Devontae Freeman last year, after having a good start to the season and then getting injured, led you to being reluctant to moving Tevin Coleman. You want to talk about that a little bit? Your running back situation there.
Yeah, yeah. Devontae Freeman was my go-to guy last year until he got hurt, and then Coleman stepped in. And once I started using Coleman, I actually was doing pretty good with him. And they kind of split the season because Freeman was hurt for so long that I think Freeman ended the year with 700 yards, and then Coleman ended the year with about 700 yards. So they ended up about the same there. And then this year, the reverse happened. I was running Tevin Coleman first. He got injured, and I had to go to Devontae Freeman for the first few weeks here. And I finally got Coleman back a week ago, And man, my run game has been a lot better with Coleman in there. Freeman took a huge regression at the end of last season because he was hurt for so long. He only got to 700 yards. I guess that did a number on him because he regressed. Like, I think he was a 92 last year, and he regressed all the way down to an 87
Hmm.
overall. And then I just got an upgrade, and now he's back up to 88. But he was at 87. And I just like the way that Coleman feels a lot more. Running this year has not been as good as it was last year for me. And it seems like since it's been Coleman back there, it's been a lot better. The last 2 games, I've had really good running games. So I actually probably should have stayed running against the Cowboys more and not made so many bad throws. And I probably would have been good because, yeah, I think Coleman was running for 7 a clip against him.
Yeah, Coleman is definitely a threat, especially with that 94 speed. Um, but let's go to the strong suit. Well, it was a quiet thing last year, but came on strong late, and then I think people are aware of your defense, and you have a pretty good defense over there. You want to go into your defense a little bit, maybe some guys that you really love, and maybe break down the positions a little bit, what you run, and all that.
Yeah, I usually I run a 4-3 most of the time. Um, actually I never run a 3-4 at all. I usually run a 4-3 as the base, and then I'll throw in some nickel and dime, and then quarter on rare occasion. But that's basically what I run out of. And I just picked up like, Tack McKinley's been really good for me. He's really good at getting to the quarterback. I love my whole front four there. Him, Grady Jarrett, Strong, Bailey. Bailey was a young or a guy that I had last year that was he was drafted as a linebacker, I think, by the previous user. But I was looking at his power moves and his block shedding and his tackling ability, and I was like, man, I need to move this guy over to end. And that kind of led me to trade Vic Beasley, which he ended up on your team. Because I had Bailey there, I felt comfortable trading him. And then even my backup over there, Adam Gotsis, I picked him up. I think I signed him as a free agent. I didn't expect too much from him, but he's been in limited time of stepping in for Bailey if he's hurt. He's been getting sacks, so I feel comfortable if one of those guys were to get hurt, that he could kind of step up. I've been building my young guy Strong, the defensive tackle. He's my guy. I've been building behind Grady Jarrett, and he's got really good block shedding. I've been working on getting his finesse moves up, or his moves up, so he can get to the quarterback as well. His finesse moves at 80 right now, so I've been working on that, building them. I've been trying to build my cornerbacks. I know I got Desmond Trufant. He's getting old, so I expect regression coming from him soon. And I don't know how much longer I'll have him on the team. So I know looking towards the future, that's going to be one of my focuses, is at cornerback. And then my secondary guy, Poole. He's not too bad, and he's not too old, but he's already kind of getting on the slower side. And if he regresses and loses speed, I'm afraid that I might not be able to really look to him. Um, I did pick up Jones from you, and he was a nice speedy guy to add. I didn't really have a lot of speed aside from Trufant, so it was nice to add him. He's got 95 speed and 95 acceleration, so it's nice to have him. I did pick up some rookies, um, but they got kind of bad speed, so that's something I have to work on, or see about maybe putting them even maybe as a safety, but that's probably not an option because the safeties I have are already locked down, so I don't really have a need to move them there. Keanu Neal, he's a beast. That's my favorite player on the team, hands down. I love using him, and I love the way he plays. He's locked down against the run, and he can play the pass as well. I feel pretty comfortable with my linebackers. I just want to work on my user skills there a little bit more. Of course, I got Deion Jones. He's one of the best middle linebackers in the game, I'd say. And then I picked up, I think the last user actually picked, no, this was my first draft. I got Shaq Quarterman was in my first draft. I believe he was my first pick. And he's a nice pass coverage guy. He's not the best at getting to the quarterback or stopping the run game, but he does have really good pass coverage and decent speed. And then, like you had mentioned that I got Blake Martinez from you, but he's actually out on injury right now. He got hurt for 7 weeks.
Oh
So
man.
right now, yeah, so that was kind of a bad go for me there. Um, so I'm missing him. So right now I have Duke Riley over there, which he's not too bad. He's only 74 overall, but he's got some speed. He's got decent coverage skills. He's okay on the run. So that does hurt my team a little bit because Martinez was really good against the run, and I don't have as many guys now in the linebacker position at the run, with Duke Riley not really being a run stopper and Quarterman not really being a run stopper. Jones can kind of do it all, but besides him, I'm lacking in that aspect there.
Yeah, and speaking of the running game, um, recently after playing the Bucks, I was raving about my running game and how terrible it is, and how it took a big hit. And I kept bringing up Devondre Campbell as one of the key pieces to why my running game's not as good, but I'm missing a big one in Blake Martinez, which you just mentioned. Great against the run. Um, and it kind of showed up when I played you week one. I couldn't run the ball for worth anything, and I think Blake Martinez, along with that strong defensive line you have there, was a key to that. And everybody knows in this league, if you could stop the run, unless you're playing somebody like the old Browns, not the new Browns, because the new Browns is back to the old Browns, but you know, last season's Browns, then you have a tough task in defending the pass. But most of these guys are run heavy, run first users, and like to control the ball. And if you could stop them from running the ball, then you kind of have them in the palm of your hand. I'm one of them, and that's something that I got to work on. But not having Blake Martinez is definitely a tough hit for me, and you not having him for a while is actually a bit of a tough hit for you as well. Um, you mentioned Keanu Neal. Um, I love him too. He's everything you want in a safety. Not the fastest, but great hit power, great pursuit, great zone coverage. He's just an all-around great player to use. 96 overall. Um, my ideal for defense is pretty much safety and linebackers are the key positions, and then I think you could get away with okay people at the other positions, if you know what I mean. Kind of like that old Ravens when they had Ed Reed and they had Ray Lewis being the 1-2 for that defense, and then everybody else was just there for the ride. That's kind of my ideal defense, and you kind of have that with Keanu Neal and Deion Jones.
Yeah. I definitely feel that. I think it's kind of been my user's been the issue. I'm not the best at getting the best line to the running back. So sometimes I actually throw off my defense by taking
Hmm.
a bad angle, and allowing the run game to kind of get further away from me on that. I think if I could stop that, um, I have a pretty good pass defense. It's mostly been the run that's killing me, but I think that's kind of like self-inflicted. So
Hmm.
I think if I could fix that, get a better user there, I think I can make. Obviously, I have a strong defense there. It's 95 overall, and I just got to get it done.
Bro, believe me, bro. I'm on the same boat. Me and you, we are the captains of that ship right now. Uh, I don't know. I can't say it's 100% my user, but I 100% believe it's my user instead of the lack of talent as far as run stuffers on my team. I think I take myself out of the play, unlike the better users in the league. Maybe it's the camera angle. Maybe I have to change the camera angle, but something's gonna change. I have a good test next week against the Bills, even though he doesn't have Kareem Hunt right now. So I kind of get lucky there. But that pretty much does it for your team. Like you said, Matt Ryan is that quarterback's going to be a conundrum with Matt Ryan and his terrible contract. You got a great receiving core, so a young receiving core as well. So you don't have to worry about that. You got to find a second corner on the other side of Trufant, and I don't know Trufant's age. I believe he's up there as well. Let me see. Yeah.
I think he might be 30. He might even be older than 30.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he's
30.
30.
So you definitely need to find another corner. I mean, Jonathan Jones was a good trade for you because he's 27, so he could kind of be a stepping stone into your next layer of defensive backs that come through. Having him will be a good thing for you. You seem to be all set offensive line as far as the youth, and you got guys that you could build upon there. So now you just really you went through the boring drafts of selecting all those offensive linemen. Now it's just going to be prime positions for you, with a good defensive line that's still young. You need some corners. You need some running backs, and you don't even need a quarterback. So it's pretty much running back and cornerback that I could think of that you really need. Maybe a linebacker here and there. But I can't find really many holes on your team as far as overalls and youth and all that.
Yeah, let them fall, guys. Just stay away from all the running backs. Stay away from the cornerbacks. Let them fall to me. You're good to go.
Yeah, everybody loves the pretty pick. So I mean, I'm one of them. I should spend a little more time on offensive line. I selected a few guys, but I haven't hit on one. Um, but now we're gonna break away from the PML stuff, and we're gonna actually look at some of the league content idea that we've had discussed in the content team. It's if you want to break it down and let the people know what we're working on, and I'll bring up the screen while you do that.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, I think it was you that brought up the idea, but we thought, well, it would be cool if we just did kind of a what if scenario. That if we each picked out a college team and then took players that are in the PML league that we have and made a team just out of the colleges that we picked. And I don't have offhand what all colleges were picked. I know that I picked UCLA. I'm actually an Alabama Crimson Tide guy, but I figured that one would kind of feel like a cop out. Alabama produces a lot of
Yeah.
players, and I wanted to do something a little bit more challenging, so I decided to go with UCLA. I'm a California guy. The only actual college game I've been to is a UCLA game. I haven't been to any other college games, so I figured I'd run with UCLA and see what I can do there. So I kind of started to. I think we were just going to write it out at first, but I actually went on there and I wanted to kind of make a roster to see what the team would look like. And so I actually made a roster and started a franchise with that roster, so that you could join and see as well. And then I was also going to sim a season just to see how they did, see how it played out.
Yeah, and you told me all that, and I actually love that idea of making a full roster of it. I don't know how many guys are gonna be into that, but it's something I really enjoyed when you brought it to my attention. And I told you we'll actually make a. You have the team right now on your franchise. We're actually gonna make another one and go ahead and add my team as well, and then keep open slots for anybody that's really interested in building all the teams, or maybe they just write it down and we'll implement it ourselves, and then we'll show it later on in the season when we're all done with it. But let's go ahead and go through the team. I mean, at quarterback, you seem to be just fine. You got Josh Rosen as your starter, and then you got Brent Hudley as the backup. So it's not a bad little gig there. We move on to running backs. We got our first rookie running back. Well, not a rookie, but our first creative running back from Premier Madden League. We got Jamambo. I believe he's on Cincinnati, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
So you got Jamambo, who would be the number one running back, which is not the best. Their running back situation from UCLA is not the best, so I don't think they would survive in the Premier Madden League. After
Yeah.
Jamambo, they got Paul Perkins, and then they got Thomas Duarte. I don't even know who Thomas Duarte is.
You know
If you,
what? Thomas Duarte is actually he's a tight end, and he's actually a free agent tight end. But the reason why I signed him and moved him to the halfback position is because it was forcing me to have three halfbacks,
yep,
and there was only two halfbacks from UCLA, so I had to make a guy a halfback. But I still grabbed a UCLA player. I just took a tight end, and I moved him to halfback position. You'll see a little bit of that. You'll see some guys I edited. I was trying to save some time, so you'll see Jamambo's picture is actually Tevin Coleman.
yep,
What
yep.
I did was I just, instead of doing the character modeling and all that, I just took the stats from PML and I just put them on existing players and just edited them. If we were to do something like you talked about, bringing in multiple teams and kind of editing their rosters, I would have to go back and create all those guys separately, because otherwise of course, if someone actually wanted Tevin Coleman on their team, he's not available because I edited him.
Yeah,
So if
exactly.
we go ahead and move forward with that, I'll go ahead and recreate this roster without editing players. But I just did that at the time to save some time. So you'll see a little bit of that in my roster.
Yeah, I get that. You were just trying to throw it together quick, just your little idea, but it caught fire. So hopefully we could get all these lists together, and then we could make a little GM connected with these teams that are all team all college team based. So you got the running backs we just went through. Derek Coleman, is that a fullback that's actually in the league, or is this just somebody that was a tight end that you had to move over?
No, he's actually a fullback in the NFL, and he's from UCLA.
Oh, okay, okay. So now we go over to the wide receivers where it gets super duper ugly. You got some. It makes the running back position look like a gold mine compared. Um, but you got Michael Zeke. You got Matthew Slater, New England, New England. I love you, New England. Then you got Jordan Lastly, Theo Howard, and Jordan Payton. Any of these are all wide receivers that are in the league or created through PML, correct?
Yeah, Lasley, I believe he might have been cut in our actual league, but he's originally from Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
He plays for the Ravens. And then Zeke was one of the players in our league that was one of the drafted guys. And
Mm-hmm.
I should have wrote down whose roster they came from, but I didn't, so I don't know offhand. But it was on one of our guys' rosters, and so I just created a player for him. And same thing with Theo Howard.
Yeah, and we could when we redo this and add more all college teams, we'll go ahead and could write down what team they're from and all that, if they're a free agent, if they're a part of a team, to really give a little more of a backstory to it. But so far, I'm loving it so far. It's something that's so interesting to me, the what if scenarios, and an all college team is one of the main ones for me. And let's go ahead and go to tight ends. We got Caleb Wilson, who I know is in the league, Mercedes Lewis, who's in the league, Logan Paulson, and Jordan Wilson. Jordan Wilson is obviously somebody that was created.
Yeah, yeah. Jordan Wilson is one of the. I want to say maybe Panthers have him on his roster. Or no, no, sorry, Jordan Wilson is on KC's roster. Jordan Wilson is on KC's roster. He drafted him, and then I think it's Caleb Wilson that's on Panthers roster.
Yeah,
Another guy they drafted.
yeah, Caleb Wilson is on the Panthers roster. I see. Yeah, you used is that Hall? What's his name? Uh, sh what's the tight end from Atlanta's
Oh
name?
yeah, yeah. I edited Alex Hooper for that one.
Hooper. That's who it is. And let's go ahead. So the tight end position is not bad compared to the wide receiver position. Nothing's gonna be as bad as that. I hope. We'll go through the whole team and see how bad it gets. But
The offense is
besides
pretty rough, man.
besides the wide receiver position, I mean the quarterback position is not bad, and everything. So I don't see a problem there. Let's go ahead and go through the offensive line. Just one second. We got Miller. We got Xavier Su'a-Filo. We got Scott Quisenberry. Uh, we got a tough deal at center with Alex Redmond and Jake Brendel. Then right guard we got Michael Alves, Caleb Benanoch, and Najee Torin, and then at right tackle we got Andre James. Not the best offensive line, but it's not terrible. After going through the wide receivers, I'm gonna keep on saying it.
Yeah, yeah. The center's kind of hurt. Redmond there. He's actually not even a center. Brindle is actually the only actual center. But I had to move Redmond from a guard position. As far as the line, I think the only guys that are actually on rosters in the PML is Colton Miller, and then Michael Alves is he shows his age 30 on here, but it's just because I edited a guy in the PML. He's actually a young guy that got drafted, and then same thing with Andre James. He was another young guy that was drafted in the league, and I think those are the only three guys on my line that are actually on PML rosters. The rest are free agents or in NFL teams.
Yeah, not bad at all. I mean, Carlton Miller is a good one over there with the 79 overall. Like you said, you couldn't really find a center. So now let's move on to the defensive end. We got at your two ends, we got Cassis Marsh and Jacob. I am not JTM. I'm not pronouncing that. And then wow, you actually got Tack McKinley, who's a UCLA product, which I did not know. And then you got I am not pronouncing that as the backup right end. I am not. You got Awa. I'm gonna call him Awa. So not bad for the defensive ends there.
Yeah, Tack's a good one. He was already on the Falcons team, and he stayed. And just a heads up too, I edited all the overalls to match PML overalls right now. Like some of these guys, like I didn't even realize it because Tack McKinley has increased his overall so much as a player, but on a base roster, just starting off with the base roster from Madden, he was actually like all the way down at like an 82 overall. So he got a huge increase there. I guess he must have been showing up in PML because he's all the way up at 92 over there. And I changed those overalls to match those stats, whether it was higher or lower.
Yeah, which really brings that PML factor into it, especially when we're including the rookies that we've drafted that aren't even in the game yet. Um, it helps kind of capture what it looks like if we had a college team in PML currently, which I like. And
Yeah.
Tack McKinley is transformed into a monster. Um, and then you move to your defensive tackles, and you got a big name right away. You got Kenny Clark in the middle. You got Eddie Vanderdoes, I guess. Then you know what? UCLA picks some names. Like, I don't know if they just go with names that they can't pronounce, but they they pick some names. I hate UCLA so far. Then you got Dayton Jones, nice and easy one, and then Eli Anko. Um, a little more difficult, but still pretty easy. But the big name there is Kenny Clark. So, based on what UCLA has, I haven't looked at the linebackers, but it seems like they would benefit from a 3-4 kind of defense instead of a 4-3. But we'll take a look at their linebackers in a second. Anything you want to say here about their defensive tackles?
Yeah, they got a good one there with Kenny Clark. He's a young guy. He's actually that young. Vander does. He's a Raider there. I don't know how much he gets used in the PML from the Raiders there, if he's still even on that team.
Hmm.
But I guess he's an okay guy. It kind of drops off quite a bit after Clark. So like you said, probably a 3-4 if the linebacker allow it.
Yeah, let's jump right into the linebackers, and right
This is
away.
where things get a little bit weird.
And right away, you got Anthony Barr, um, who's a 86 overall linebacker. So you already starting off well with the linebackers. The guy behind him, Marcus Ginda. Then you go to your middle linebackers. You got Eric Kendricks, Jayon Brown, and then Lokeni Tiolia. I don't know. Sure, that's how you pronounce it. But you got pretty good linebackers, a couple good middle linebackers, and then your right outside linebacker is Kenny Young. So it is somebody. Kind of pick your poison on the defense you want to run. You could either run a 3-4 or a 4-3, based on the kind of drop off between the linebackers and the defensive tackles. But they got a couple good names in Anthony Barr and uh, Eric Kendricks.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is where it kind of gets weird because apparently UCLA produces a lot of good middle linebackers. Because Anthony Barr was originally a middle linebacker. I
Hmm.
had to move him. Kendricks was a middle linebacker. I had to move him. And then this is where it gets a little bit weird. I had another middle linebacker that I had to move, and I know it's a skip ahead, but I'd like you to check out my strong safety real quick.
Oh, Miles Jack, you had to move to strong safety. I
There
mean,
was literally no strong safeties from UCLA, so I had to make that move. And even the Rios, he was a cornerback that I had to move to just fill that spot. So I had the roster positions. So that's why that's a little bit weird. But Miles Jack surprisingly turned out to be a pretty damn good strong safety.
yeah, he does pretty much. I mean, he's 87 speed, so he definitely could do it. I mean, good zone coverage, and he definitely has good pursuit and tackling. So, I mean, I don't see the problem with Miles Jack being a strong safety based on his athleticism. Um, but that is a little weird. I guess they do produce a lot of good linebackers over in UCLA. Let's take a look at the cornerbacks. You got Darnay Holmes, Fabian Moreau, who's currently on the Patriots in PML. Great speed. Definitely somebody I like to use. Alterin Werner, and then you got Sheldon Price. I mean, it's not the best cornerback situation from UCLA, but it's not terrible. Uh, Definitely could get by with this kind of group. And then let's take a look at the free safeties. You got Nate Meadors and then Jalen Phillips. So I mean, their strong suit is their line and their linebackers, their front seven pretty much. If you include Miles Jack in that, since he had to be bumped to strong safety just to fill a hole. Um, And other than that, the defense is weak at the corner position and the free safety position, so the defensive backfield's kind of shaky for UCLA, especially with not having a strong safety.
Yeah, it was definitely tough putting together their secondary. There wasn't a lot of cornerbacks. I only had four there. There was a fifth one, but like I said, I had to move him to strong safety just for um, the reasons there. But there wasn't really much to choose from in safeties either. That's why we had to move. Luckily, in the PML league, there was a couple guys we got to pull over. Darnay Holmes, he was a PML guy that was from the draft, and Nate Metters, the free safety, was a PML guy that got added on there. At least there's some speed in the corners, but yeah, they're pretty. Alteron Werner, I don't even know that he would be in PML anymore. He was on the Madden roster, but at his age in PML, he'd probably be 31, 32, where we're at, so he's probably gone.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I probably let me while we're here, let me check Daddy Leagues. Daddy Leagues will tell me right away if Werner's still in the league. Let's take a look there. That's probably what I'm going to use when I build my team is Daddy Leagues. I'll get it all on paper because we are going to do this whole thing where we're going to build the whole roster. I just got to get the parameters. You need at least two quarterbacks, at least one safety or two safeties. Um, Let me see Werner. Oh, that didn't work out. Yeah,
Why you?
he's retired definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. I thought I tried to look him up in Daddy Leagues and didn't see him, but I wasn't for sure. But I just kind of put him in there just because he was actually from UCLA,
Mhm.
and without him, I wouldn't have had enough cornerbacks to fill a roster. So
Yeah, so doing this whole team, I looked at your kicker and your punter. Nobody really cares about that position. I'll just go through it quick. We don't even have to talk about it. You got Kai Forbath, and then we got Jeff Lockie. So when you built this team and put this team together on the GM Connected, uh, did you kind of just make it into the amount of players that you need on the roster, or did you have a couple extra slots that you filled in? Like, did you reach the minimum requirement barely, or you had a little bit of leeway?
reached it. I went through and kind of went through Daddy Leagues and wrote down all the as, and then after that, I just kind of filled it in with guys that were either free agents that weren't on a team, or just guys that were from UCLA that was left on the roster, like Werner and stuff like that. That's not on a team, and it wasn't in PML, but at least it was a UCLA guy that could fill my roster. But first things first, I went through and looked at the PML and got all the top guys that I knew would be starters on the team, and I got the starters all filled out first. And once I had all my starters with the best overalls, then I just kind of filled it in as needed after that, and just moved guys around per
Hmm.
position to just fill in the requirements that they require for you to have a full roster.
Yeah, and like I was saying, I mean, just going through it, it looks like a lot of fun to build. I don't know if you could attest to that personally when you put this together, but it seems like a lot of fun, the what if scenario that you did here. And it makes me want to put mines together as soon as possible. And hopefully we could get the other guys who said they commit to a college to do it so we could get a kind of a GM connected looking like this, and we could actually release one team per week on the league report, maybe with the user that made the team or somebody else who's on as a guest at that time. But it looks like it's a lot of fun. I don't know if it was a lot of fun for you, but I think I'll have a blast with this.
Yeah, it was actually a lot of fun just figuring out how to fill in the positions, and even like it was kind of cool to see like who I could plug in where it wasn't working, like having Miles Jack switch to strong safety and
Yeah.
actually seeing that, whoa, he's fucking pretty good as a strong safety.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
kind of cool. And just seeing stuff like that. I'd actually like to play a game with the team. I haven't done that, but that would be cool. Like, I don't know if any of the guys would be down for that once they have a team created to hop on and actually like play a game. But I think that'd be kind of fun to try out our all college teams. I just for fun, I did simulate one season in another league that I made just to see how they would do. And because I think because my wide receivers are so horrible, it just couldn't couldn't get anything going there. My defense was pretty good, but I think my team went like I think they went 2-14 or whatever it would be, two and
Yeah.
15 something like that.
Yeah, I don't think with those wide receivers they'll be doing anything good for you. But yeah, I mean, once we get the actual GM connected with all these all college teams, I have no issues doing a game with you as like it could be like a practice kind of game. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of people like to play a practice game to really tune their skills as far as in the actual league. So it could be a good fallback league to use as a practice league. We could make
yeah,
it.
for sure.
We can make it mirror image to PML as far as the sliders and all that to really mirror it.
Yeah, if I can win with this offense, man, I think I can win with just about anything.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But it's been a blast. This content, this little project piece that you did was really cool. I loved it. Like I told you in the chat, and I will be making my team right away. And we'll start to put this thing together a little more. It was a blast talking to you. Thank you for going into doing your rookie reports, deep diving into the stats, and really giving us a little more content. Thank you for all the content you do. Pretty much, you're a key contributor to the league as far as making it still interesting for guys that are kind of tuning out Madden now that the football season's over. Um, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. We'll have you on again, especially when we get this league full. Maybe we could talk a little more about it, go through more teams. Um, but I think that's gonna cut it for us now. Um, is there anything you wanna say before we close it out?
No, man, thanks for the props. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Um, Doing the content has made Madden fun for me again. I left all my other leagues, and this is my only league now, and I enjoy playing and getting the content in. So it's made Madden fun for me again. So I appreciate JT for the league, and thank you for the content you do and having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Love having you on the content team. Love the content you do. Like I said, um, I look forward to the more content that you're gonna put out, because I know you do great work. But I'm Is Nefarious. It's been a great league report with my buddy, the Falcons user, and we'll go ahead and pick this up in a couple more days with the Week 8 league report, and we'll see who we end up having on then. All right, everybody, have a good night. And everybody, have a good night. You as well, Falcons.